Good evening, everyone. It's a little weird to see everyone sitting at cafeteria bench tables. We don't have any like milk for you or anything, so apologies, we weren't fully prepared. But thanks for being here, and I hope that by us coming to sit-in, it made it a little easier for people to join this evening compared to James John. I know this is going to be something that we continue to do, so we're going to try and rotate through the 3 schools in the neighborhood. So we'll be at sit-in tonight. We'll be at George Middle School next month.
Yep.
And then James John in June, or is that flipped? Or is it James John in May?
Yeah, it'll be June to close out the school year, and then we're working through options during the school year.
Yeah, in the summer we can't access the schools. So we have our next 2 meetings will be in the schools, and then we will either sort out a location or go to Zoom only for a couple of months. But we want to try to make it more accessible and make sure we're serving the entire community. So thanks for being here. Yeah, so we'll call the meeting to order at 7:09 p.m. This is the April general meeting of the St. John's Neighborhood Association. A couple of quick points, and then we'll get to our favorite item of business, which is approving old minutes. I know that's why you're all here, so I'll make sure we get to that quickly. For everyone joining via Zoom, we do have live translated captions available. So if you head down to the bottom of the Zoom, there'll be an option to turn those on and put it into the language of your choice. So be on the lookout for that, and also let anybody know who you think that might be useful for. Now, we will have a few things to vote on this evening, like meeting minute approval. And so I always like to explain really quickly just the criteria, what makes you eligible to vote this evening and to be a member of the St. John's Neighborhood Association. It's pretty simple. So all residents 16 years of age and older, property owners, business licensees, and nonprofit organizations located or performing a significant part of their services within the boundaries of SJNA, within St. John's, and all members of Cathedral Park Neighborhood Association as defined in the bylaws of that association. So if you live anywhere this side of the railroad cut, you can vote this evening. And again, if you own property, business licensee along those lines, nonprofit organization, you can as well. So thank you for being here and for participating. A couple of...
Oh, go ahead. I just have one housekeeping thing.
Sure, yeah, go ahead.
And sorry, one housekeeping thing for the folks on Zoom specifically, just from our setup here, if you can't see in person, there's a lot of gear going on. We're gearheads here, so we're trying to make this audio and visual setup as best as possible, but what I would recommend is if you want to pin the St. John's Neighborhood Association view, will be RJ's computer, and then we'll be sharing some content throughout the time here as well. So just wanted to say that if you want to pin St. John's Neighborhood Association is probably the best view for that one.
All right. A couple of announcements, notes, and there'll be more throughout this meeting. There's just a couple I wanted to call out to start. The St. John's Spring Clean is this Saturday in the Farmers Market parking lot. 9 a.m. until at capacity. Usually does hit that, but it'll stop at 1 p.m. if it does not. There's also still a need for volunteers for that. So if you're looking to help out for a couple hours, I know you'll see Patrick there setting things up, maybe throwing out his back. We'll see. We've shared that link. We can share it again in the Zoom chat, but there are volunteers needed for this Saturday. But otherwise, stop by with anything that you are looking to dispose of. Last year, we took in 8 tons of litter recycling, yard debris, etc. So please stop by on Saturday regardless. Then I just got this note in from the St. John's Library renovation project. That team got in touch. Today marks the opening of voting for your favorite sort of layout design for the library. We will share this in the Zoom chat. It is in the agenda and will be in the minutes, and we'll share it as well across our channels, but voting is open until the 22nd. So you can go in and let them know what version of the St. John's Library you want to see in the future. So we'll get down to the real fun stuff here and quickly scroll through the February meeting minutes to see if there are any errors, omissions, etc. We can drop this link in the chat. Do I need to share my screen to go up there?
That's going to be the easiest way, if that's possible.
Let's do it. It's a party up there?
Yeah, a little blurry, but I think it's kind of best we can do.
All right.
Can you angle it at all, or is that the best it's got?
Whoa! We're doing it live, folks.
Good catch.
This is an all-volunteer board with limited budget. Let's do it. So this is from February. So we tabled approving these minutes at our last meeting to provide as much time as possible for discussion. So this is February's meeting minutes. We'll scroll through and give it a minute and then check out if there's any sort of updates or objections.
Recording in progress.
Ooh. We had Donovan scribe some kids outside and since this meeting, they've had funding approved. So both through the city and through the state for George Park, so very exciting. This was the meeting also where Dugan Multnomah and a representative from the Joint Office of Homeless Services came to talk about their plans for a day center in St. John's at 9000 North Lombard. So there's information in here. Opening roughly in November, we shall see. You know, the mayor's temporary alternative shelter site was supposed to be open in January, and we're in April, and there's no sign of it happening. So who knows with these things, but. Then we had Letty join, talking about Dia de los Niños, which is actually going to be part of the Spring Fling. So Becca will talk a little bit more about that coming up. But a great event.
Look at him on his left shoulder, so he can't turn and get square. So Zach
And then another great event coming up in May, the St. John's Bazaar. Seamus was there to speak a little bit about that. There was a district candidate for that happened last month.
to his right shoulder. But the battle in there, he's got 16 points, but he's got 0 assists.
As the Baltimore Wood spoke, we had the update from the St. John's Boosters and the St. John's Center for Opportunity. We have a new community outreach person who has started, so we'll be hearing from them this evening.
You know, in past years, they've proven that the pick and roll was ball to eat.
Can everyone on Zoom please mute? We're hearing some sports announcements instead of the meeting.
The difference is with clinging, it makes it much more difficult to be a great defender because you cannot just come and help and block the shot. And for me,
8:41 p.m.
not the first. And he gets into the left
February
ball because he walks into the middle.
Is there a second?
He cannot come over and help. And if you get into the lane right here, once he goes over,
They're
he
only
frees
getting
it.
background noise.
He has his eye, but he still has
You're
contact.
unmuted, which
the
And the
stage.
microphone should be through his, right?
Now you get the drop off done. So the pause into the lane helps you so much. And again, he comes in.
Is that any better, Zoom?
Can you hear us now on Zoom?
Yes.
All right.
Okay, we're getting a lot.
There
of
we
yeses.
go.
Okay.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay. All right, so thankfully they were able to see the entire version of the meeting minutes throughout. So there is a motion to approve these minutes currently. They do need a second if we're to continue. Second, thank you. And we're going to do this by unanimous consent, so if you have an objection to these meeting minutes being approved, raise your hand. Otherwise, they'll be approved unanimously. Nothing on Zoom, nothing in the room. All right, they're approved. We're halfway through the enthralling journey that is approving minutes, folks. We're going to go to our March general meeting minutes. And seek to approve these. Good? You're good. Yep. So, March 11th, we had, what's that? Yes, Bernadine.
I was just gonna say, for a correction, right there where it says members present, it says C annex.
Yeah.
That should technically be C appendix, and it should be letter A, because that's the first one that you're doing.
All right.
It's not an annex, C appendix A. And then that would need to follow to the the first page of listing all the members where it says annex one, it needs to be appendix A.
All right. Well, thank you, Bernadine. So for any folks who, oh, did I go away? Hello, hello?
You can't hear us? Oh.
The room is, hello?
We can hear you.
Is it better? We've got DJ Jesse over here. Thank you. All right. So we had 275 people in our Zoom room. We had roughly 200 or so people in the room at James John. Not all of those people were voting members of SJNA, so that number was smaller than that. Apologies if anybody tried to join via Zoom and we hadn't upgraded the account yet. We had to do that live, of which Bernadine asked me the other day, what is this charge? And I was like, well, we're in a little bit of a bind. We didn't dream of more than 100 people on Zoom, and we upped it to get to 300. We almost hit that limit even. So we called the meeting to order at 7:27 p.m. Due to the line being out the door and getting people signed in to the meeting. So a little bit of a late start. And so we'll scroll through here for a minute. Please raise your hand if you have any corrections, updates, changes, and we will address those. But I will take our slow Star Wars style scroll through the meeting minutes. We do need music for this time. Yeah. I think so. We got some more views. We got some more subscribers. I think you really promoted us there. I think this meeting has close to 100 views, which for us is, we're going to be influencers soon. That's a lot more than normal. On YouTube, correct. Yeah, St. John's Neighborhood Association on YouTube. Yes.
You know, back here, we can't see that on the screen.
Mm,
Clear, but maybe it's putting on focus.
yeah, we've been having struggles making it focused and sharp up here. There are some seats up here to either side if anybody wants to get closer to be able to see this.
Is the center
Yeah, we
is the
can't turn
most
this off.
focused, and then towards the edges it becomes unfocused.
Yeah, we can't turn this off. We tried, trust me. Thanks for your input.
And then, yeah, there's Appendix A with a lot of names. So,
Could be here all night.
yeah. Great. Jesse motions to approve the March general meeting minutes. Is there a second? Juan seconds. And we will do the same. If anybody objects, raise your hand in the room or on Zoom. Otherwise, these will be approved unanimously. Wonderful. Thanks, folks. Thanks for bearing with us through the fun minutia of this world here. So what we're going to do next is very exciting. So this month, we have dedicated our main speaker slot to going over the results of the St. John's Culture Survey. So that is a survey that we undertook through the wonderful efforts of Kim Larson here to produce and recruit people to take it and obtain hundreds of responses, 600, 800 responses to this survey. And so we're going to go through the results and to see how people are feeling and where people want to see the neighborhood go. So this can help chart a course, set a vision for St. John's. So with that, we will turn it over to Kim Larson. Come on down.
I think we can replace the, if you want to.
Cool. And folks can hear me, see me. I tend to be soft-spoken, so okay, I'll work on it. Can you guys hear me at this volume or this distance? Not really. I will do my, oh, that's gonna give feedback. Okay, now can the folks hear me in back? Okay. Soft-spoken and the tone of ambient noise. So I'm going to try to make this as fun and interesting as possible. I had a really good time doing this analysis. So let's go ahead and get started. We had 802 surveys turned in as of this afternoon. That was over 5,600 open-ended responses that got submitted because it was very essay full. It was like reading people's journal entries, reading people's letters to their neighbors. It was really fantastic. All the data is anonymous, but it is publicly available, excluding the email addresses. So if you're interested in perusing it yourself because you're interested in a particular intersection or topic or business, all of it is in there. You can connect with me. My email address is klarson@luminoso.com. Some folks have had previews of the data already, but that isn't everyone. So the intention for the data was to be shared. Let me know and I'm happy to share it. What I learned from the survey is that St. John's is an amazing community. I knew it before, but it was really emphasized when the surveys were turned in. So thank you to everyone who participated, promoted, and supported the survey. And thank you for being vulnerable, thoughtful, and candid. There is the full spectrum of humanity shared in the survey, from really dark traumas to really highlighting like the glories of St. John's, and it's all in there. So thank you. I have it segmented into 3 parts. The first part is the reflective piece of why did people choose St. John's? Why do we stay here? What does livability mean? And what are our core memories about St. John's? How are we going to remember it in 5, 10 years? And then we look out. Where are we finding connection? What advice do we give to new neighbors? And then we look forward. What changes would make St. John's better? What changes would make St. John's worse? And what is St. John's missing? There's a lot of things that we can do, and we have a lot of really good ideas pulled together in this data. This information is intended for all of us. This isn't just for the St. John's board. This is not just for the people in this room. This is for anyone who's willing and able to help make this neighborhood a better place. So there's no gatekeepers. If you want it, talk to me, I'll give it to you, and let's make something happen with it. So starting with the looking in component, people chose St. John's for its affordability and its proximity to good things. The affordability was relative to the rest of Portland, and proximity was related to the parks like Forest Park, Cathedral Park, and Pier Park, downtown St. John's, specifically our small businesses, restaurants, and affordable grocery stores, and the greater Portland area, commutes to work, and the airport. But people stay in St. John's for the small town vibe, and they use the word vibe in their open ends. And that was described in a few different ways with friendliness, welcoming, we're vibrant, diverse, charming, tight-knit, good relationships with neighbors. We have that small town feel. The tool that we used to do the text analysis produced a visual like this. You're gonna see it throughout the presentation, where the words that are clustered together were used together in the open ends. So buy, purchase, afford prices, those are next to each other. Husband, bought a house, graduated, initially, those clustered together. And then you see that flow into that small town feel, diversity, proximity to nature, community feel, et cetera. So when you're looking at the visualizations, you can kind of see the story kind of stitch around in that visual along with the bullet points. So people defined livability as pedestrian friendliness, walkability to local businesses and stores, access to green spaces, social and physical safety. Can they leave the house without getting harassed? Can they go out and not get harmed? And then freedom from pollution was a whole spectrum of things, from air pollution from trucks, litter, clean air, clean water. They want it to be clean too. So, making sense so far? If I'm going too fast, because I know I do talk fast in addition to being quiet, someone be like, slow down, and I can work with that. We also asked an emotion question. This is one of the more challenging grids. If you know your emotion words, it is more helpful for folks who know I feel good, I feel bad, and then discover their words. 54% of respondents identified as with an emotion in that box as far as how they feel about St. John's today. So generally positive, like moderately high emotion, right? We're not angry about being here, we're not sad about being here. We're generally pretty happy, which kind of made the neighborhood primed for the last meeting to turn out the way it did. The distribution of emotions, if you want to see what that was, we didn't self-select for just happy people, just mad people. We had the full spectrum of emotions, which was pretty neat to see, that everyone had a voice in that survey. The distribution of those emotions by section of the neighborhood was pretty interesting as far as which neighborhoods were most happy and which ones had the most frustration. We can see the Pier Park area had about 80% positive respondent emotion, whereas the north of Fessenden, over by Daydreamer and a little bit north, they had probably the most challenges in their how they feel about St. John's today, which is interesting. That. Then we asked, how will you remember in St. John's? How will you remember it in 5, 10 years? How will you remember it? And there was kind of 3 groups of memories. There were specific events like the parade, the bazaar, and Jazz Fest, really common memories for the folks who are here. Some people gravitated more towards simple routines, like I would go out and walk the dog. It was a sunny day. It was a snowy day. Milestones, relationships, that kind of thing. And then there were a series of memories that were encounter related. So they left the house and they saw something happen. There was someone under the influence of a substance. There was a person in crisis. There are encampments. And one thing that I noticed with those stories in particular is they were followed by the term thankfully or fortunately. Folks in St. John's, if they're sharing something bad, they find a silver lining. So that was particularly special. COVID and pandemic were big words, and those were often used as reference points as far as how the neighborhood came together when they were otherwise isolated. So this is a kind of a driver's visualization where we mapped the pleasantness compared to what they mentioned in their open ends. So that pleasantness grid was on the x-axis. Here we're setting it on the y, comparing to the terms they use in their memories. So if they said the word picnic or lovely, on average, they had a higher pleasantness rating for the neighborhood, and it works its way down. So the parade, it was the most frequent memory, so it's right along the average. And then further down, folks who had negative feelings towards the neighborhood mentioned car, homelessness, shootings, and then at the very bottom, things that were stolen as their primary memory. An example here, one person responded with, last summer I was working in my home office and suddenly I heard a commotion outside. A minivan came rolling down my neighbor's lawn, across it off a retaining wall into the next yard, across that nearly careening into the side of the house. And they continue with the neighbors coming out of their house, helping the woman, giving her water, the police showing up, and they conclude it with, it was a scary moment, but also one that I look back at fondly because it was a real sign of how well we can work together when we need to. So there's the memory stuff. Looking out to where we find connection with each other. There are a lot of small businesses, parks, events, etc. So we can see Ace Hardware at the top, grocery outlet, beer porch, cathedral, coffee, Trebon. I'm not going to be able to list it all, but it was really, really great to see. So we crossed this with a, how connected do you feel with the neighborhood? And you'll notice the one thing that was noted below the average was block parties. This was really interesting to me because it indicated that if people did not feel connected in any other way, the block parties were a really effective way of bringing them in. Ideally, we want to see block parties at a very high volume of mention and be the lowest score possible to show that it's bringing in folks who are not feeling connected otherwise. The top left and the green section, those are specific things. Folks who volunteer, people who are committed to the bazaar, the boosters, the community center, the parks. Specific bars have a set of patrons that help people feel really connected. That's really good, but it was really interesting that block parties stuck out as the one thing that was really below the average for where people find connection. The pie chart on the left shows generally people feel pretty connected with a 5% response rate for the neighborhood with QR codes hanging around. We got some folks who said they didn't feel connected at all. So if you're interested in how to connect with those folks, they have their shout outs. We know how to get a hold of them to some degree, but something that I thought was interesting. Advice to new neighbors was particularly insightful. People really got specific about like what to order from what restaurants, what not to order, what streets to take, all that sort of stuff. And it really distilled into 3 primary buckets. Go here, do this, and watch out. The most prevalent thing was get to know your neighbors. That was a string that was used so frequently that the text analytics platform was like, that is a specific thing. Get to know your neighbors, meet your neighbors, and the block parties are a really great way to do that. There was suggestions for attend events like the farmers market, Jazz Fest, tree lighting, enjoy parks in downtown. With the separate cluster of be careful. We look out for each other. The advice there was don't go out alone at night. don't leave stuff unattended in cars or on porches, and lock doors and get cameras. Whether or not that is good advice or bad advice is separate from it is the fact that it's the advice given. And that was really interesting. So when we paired the advice question with how strongly would you recommend St. John's for someone who is interested in being St. John's? For folks that said St. John's is a 100% welcoming place, they mentioned things like meet your neighbors, it's friendly, beer porch, bike, farmer's market, etc. Interestingly, Fessenden is very high on the recommend score, but that was also in the context of people who felt like everyone had a place here said stay away from Fessenden. As someone who is very Fessenden inclined, I thought that was an interesting note, and hopefully that's something that can change if we do the study again. Further down around the average, about 3 out of 4, so like mostly everyone has a place here. We saw things like packages stolen, again, locked doors, don't leave anything, vehicles and cars mentioned pretty commonly. And then folks who said stay away mentioned cameras and broken windows as part of their advice. Looking forward, this is the change stuff. So if you have an opinion on whether these things should or shouldn't happen, this is where we pay attention. There was a section on how did you feel about different dimensions of the neighborhood. For safety and livability, this is where we scored worse. We like our events, we like our gyms, we like our most things. Safety and livability tends to be where our neighborhood identifies as where we struggle. And it's kind of broken out by the subzones. So you can see the south of Lombard, east of Bridge, most angry at our safety and livability compared to where we are right now in Pier Park. From here, we asked the same question for public transit and walkability. That is spread out across all the dimensions, but those are the 2 pieces that we scored most poorly on as far as how people feel about it. From here, we asked changes for the better. The advice there was figure out a way to fill these empty storefronts. Some of the empty storefronts have been empty for a while. How can we fill it? And we had some folks suggesting how that could be filled in the missing question, so we have answers to that question as well. People also wanted us to solve housing and crime. We are particularly sensitive to seeing folks living on the streets, and that showed up in the data. And there was also slowing vehicle traffic would make the neighborhood better, and there were lots of suggestions on how we could do that. We asked the question, if there was reduced traffic on Lombard, would you spend more or less time there? The vast majority, the blue, green slices said they would spend more time there, the yellow slice would spend the same, and the red slivers said they would spend less time in downtown. And so we can see the distribution of what people mentioned there. Changes for worse, I have it segmented from pre-February 28th to after February 29th because of the BottleDrop news that happened on the 29th. It changed the data. So pre-28th, changes for the worse included a growing unhoused population, loss of street parking availability, and increased vehicle traffic. After February 29th, it focused narrowly on the BottleDrop news as a change for the worse. With all of the reasons pretty much tying into what we had pre-identified as problems. So if there was a thing that could make it worse, the BottleDrop tied into each of those very specifically. When we asked about what was missing, people had suggestions on how to get around safely locally. So more traffic slowing measures, more infrastructure for bikes and pedestrians, like lights and lanes, and there's also a request for a bike shop. So if someone wants to start a bike shop, the neighborhood is asking for it. There is also a request for the frog ferry. So if you haven't heard about the frog ferry, it is in the data as one of the things that was recommended. And you can see it's located right by Cathedral Park in that word cloud galaxy, because that is where people are suggesting it be parked. They were looking for more affordable options to buy local. There's a desire for more grocery store variety and more access over in the Fessenden area. There was also a request for affordable clothing and shops. Some folks were coming up with the request for like a Winco or a Walmart to come into St. John's for affordable clothing options, but there are other ways to offer affordable clothes that were brought up in the survey as well. But I think the need for affordable clothing did come through. There was also a strong recommendation for activities for all ages. Arcade, bowling, ice cream, and third spaces all came up. And across all the feedback, there was usually a comment or two about, please no more pizza or bars. There was a lot of, and it was consistently lighthearted, please no more pizza, bars, or coffee. So we compared that with the recommend question as well, as far as everyone being welcome here or stay away. So there we see Frog Ferry. Those are folks who think that everyone has a place here. Trader Joe's came up with a relatively high score and frequency across all parts of the neighborhood. Along the average, we see some generic language. And then the folks who are suggesting that people stay away, they said that we're missing police and some more safety measures in that regard. In the Frog Ferry, here's one example where they noticed markings along Smith indicating new ADA ramps that haven't been installed, wanting curb cuts, the Frog Ferry. This kind of speaks to how much people were bringing up and how much thought they were putting into these answers. In the average, with their recommendation score of like 75%, 3, there are some exceptions to people being welcome here. Here's the example of they only leave St. John's to go to Trader Joe's. And they also wanted some outdoor covered spaces for people to do recreation when our weather is not quite sunny. And then finally, the folks who said stay away and mentioning police, this person mentioned they miss feeling safe. They wish they had the police precinct back and the investigation of shootings after being in 2, they identified that it's a bummer. St. John's classically stoic in their survey feedback. I love this community and I want to bring the feeling of safety back. So now what? So one of my survey philosophies is don't ask something if you don't plan on doing anything about it. I think doing surveys that go nowhere are a form of active harm to the people that you're trying to understand. So my goal is that we'll be able to do something with this data. So what you can do as members of our audience and members of our community is connect with us. We talked about block parties. We have someone who's very invested in block parties going well. If you have an interest in a specific topic, there's a ton of resources in this room. Talk to us. We probably know who those resources are. We can get you connected to get more involved. I'm happy to share the survey feedback with you. So if you're already a leader in one of those communities, in one of those groups, let me know. I'm happy to share the data. People took the survey wanting it to be read and understood, and I'm not planning on getting in anyone's way for that. And then what we can do is we can connect you with folks, and we can share the survey feedback with you if that's something you're interested in. And depending on how much interest and how successful this survey is in accomplishing what it can, we might be able to try again in 2025. I figured I would talk fast, so I had a backup section. How are we doing on time?
There's maybe 5 minutes.
I can do this in 5 minutes. Let's do this in 5 minutes, and then if there's any questions, talk to me after, I think. Okay. So we broke it out by region. So the section around Pier Park here, we had 142 responses. This was affordability-minded thing. So if you're in this section, you want to connect with folks, this is the theme of stuff that was talked about, but it was generally our happiest neighborhood. In the green section, so not too far away, north of the bridge and west of Lombard, more traffic conscious. This is the section that was most concerned about the truck thoroughfare by their neighborhood. Again, pretty positive, but not as high energy. Folks north of Fessenden really talked about the local small businesses and how walkable and bikeable they were. More central. If you lived in the middle section, this is where I tend to spend most of my time. we liked walkable options. So it had to be walkable and there had to be a variety of things to check out. And we had the full spectrum of emotion. We had a lot of angry, a lot of sad, more of an X pattern of emotions. And then the folks south of Lombard focused on stability. If there was a change proposed, we had our most heels in the ground in that yellow section. And there was a good variety of emotions there as well. So with that, questions? We have like 1 or 2 whole questions, RJ says. Yep. Oh, let's not do that again.
Someone's raising their hand. And
Yeah, I don't know if
we're there.
Yeah.
Pretty much all 3 that were there were kind of all negative things with a what did you say, silver lining. And I was just wondering how the question was asked. How it came up that they were all negative. Was it literally all negative stuff that you got?
Wait. Primary response to which question? Oh, no, neighborhood encounters was how I summarized it as one who was reading the open ends. They weren't all negative. So with lots of stories, what we expect to see is the nuance. So like with a story there was a thing and then an event happened and then there was an outcome. If you're interested specifically in the encounter data, let me know and I can show you all the stories that were shared. Because we had some really beautiful stories in there, like someone not being able to afford their groceries, and then the person behind them in line paying for their groceries to make sure they took food home. So it wasn't purely fear or sadness driven. There's a lot of generosity in there too. But yeah. And yes, we had a lot of partners. The St. John's Review brought in about 6% of the survey responses. And you can see the shout out section in the pie chart behind us. Yes. So the only. Could you repeat the question for us? Yeah. For the Zoomers? Yeah. So the only demographic data that we collected were which zone they identified as their primary community. So those 5 like regional cuts, and then how long they've been in the neighborhood. If it was like less than a year, the last 5 years, 15 years or longer. So beyond that, it was a purely anonymous survey. We don't have a lot of metadata just to reduce the survey fatigue. I don't. I tried to find it for our geographical data. It tended to have like, we could get zip code area data, but I wasn't able to find the number of residents per zone. Yeah, if you can find the data, let me know. So we just had what the respondent said, but beyond that, yeah, would love to get that data too. The last census data that I saw, I think it had it was like slightly shy of 13,000 residents. And that was, I think, as of 2021. But that's a pop quiz question that I would Google before I was confident. And I saw another raised hand.
So those 5 districts, how are they viewed?
I used Google Earth to carve up the streets based on the high traffic areas. So Lombard is a high traffic road, Fessenden is a high traffic road, recognizing that if it's really difficult to cross those roads, it was a really kind of natural way to carve it up. Very open to, if we do the survey again, if we need to have more specific zoning, I think the regions would be interesting, but my thought behind having it be carved out by road is if there's an issue on Lombard, the neighborhoods on both sides of Lombard could collaborate to create a coalition to tackle that problem instead of having those like interstate intersection like narrowed zones. But yeah, all the time. I don't know.
No, that's just the St. John's neighborhood is at 13,000. Cathedral Park is north of 2,000. So all in, we're probably, 15.5, 16, somewhere in there, past the cut. Thank you very much, Kim. Yeah. That was a labor of love. Kim has spent far too many hours for a fully volunteer position on this, so it's really, really appreciated, and so way above and beyond. So, but please follow up on it, get the data, and we'll be discussing it more as well to make sure that it does go to use and take action from it. So, thank you for hanging with us here. We're going to move on to do a very brief update on at least what I know to be the latest on the bottle drop of what information we have as a board. And then we're going to go to our updates from community organizations like the St. John's Boosters, the Center for Opportunity, the emergency route, and all on that front. So basically, simply put, we updated the letter of opposition after the last meeting, included some of the feedback from people who testified. We approved it as a board, and we then shared it with all with relevant elected officials, both state representatives, both state senators, and City Commissioner Carmen Rubio. The BDS is a bureau under Rubio, and thus is the one that is most relevant at this time. So we shared it with her and her team. We also shared it with the Oregonian and shared it publicly in those manners to like broaden its reach. A shortened version will most likely be in as a letter to the editor in the Oregonian coming up soon. Representative Dexter's team responded to us letting know that they had received it. No word from Senator Frederick or Senator Steiner's team back to us. Also, no word from Travis Nelson's team after sending that letter. We did hear immediately from Carmen Rubio's team and actually have a phone call scheduled with Commissioner Rubio for Friday to discuss the letter further. But the Commissioner's Chief of Staff let me know that the land use review process is ongoing and there does not look to be a resolution to that soon. So they're still reviewing that before it would even move on to a period of community comment and review. So they're still deliberating and reviewing the application to deem it appropriate use of the land or not based on its current zoning. And that they're actively working with OBRC to find a different location. So the commissioner's team is dedicated to finding an alternative spot for the bottle drop and is working with OBRC to achieve that. So I will learn more on Friday after my phone call, but that is currently where it's at right now. As much as we're in the loop, I'm sure there's other information out there and other information others might know or be shared, but that is what we are able to provide from conversations we've had since our last meeting. So any questions on that before we, yeah.
Yeah, so obviously with the May elections coming up, for the county, they've been talking quite a bit about the bottle drop at the county level, especially just in their forums for debates. Has anyone from the board reached out to them? Because even Sam Adams had attended the last meeting.
Mm-hmm.
So is that's playing a huge
Yeah, we can reach out to the county. Nobody from the county commission or on that side has reached out to us, but we can be proactive and share that. That is one thing I did forget, is that we also requested a meeting with Governor Kotek. There has been no response to that request either. So that was the one other avenue taking that. Any other questions there? Yeah, hopefully the sound is.
Yeah, I'm gonna try it. We'll see if we can do the. Yeah. Can you go for it?
Okay, so the St. John's Review has
You on
some.
mute.
One second.
One second, and 1 second. I just worry with the feedback here.
I think it's probably, it's not that. No.
Okay.
It's this. Yeah, I'm not sure. It's like the
Can you try one more time, Anisha, to see if we hear you?
Hello?
No, we don't.
Any questions in the room while we try to figure out the Zoom audio here?
Just good job, RJ, on Think Out Loud.
Oh, thank you.
That's a BottleDrop.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Donna. Yeah, there was an episode of Think Out Loud that interviewed 4 people, somebody from OBRC, somebody from the Pearl, a former CEO of Fred Meyer, somebody who runs a redemption center on the east side, and then myself. And so it was 4 different perspectives around BottleDrop, the bottle bill, that sort of topic of conversation. I feel very comfortable saying this publicly, that the representative for OBRC was very political and tactical in the language used when asked about if they make a profit from what they do. So it's a question that is worthy to continue to ask, because it was refused to be answered multiple times when Dave Miller repeatedly asked the question of that person. So definitely something that was interesting from that interview that I took away as I was listening in, waiting to speak. So are we stuck online there, or?
One last try, and then I think that might be it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, great. She typed it in there.
Yeah.
So Anisha is talking about the St. John's Review having articles coming up with multiple candidates for county commissioner, and they also were able to speak with somebody from OBRC. So that will be coming up in the paper, and obviously online and on social media and whatnot from them. So more information there. So I'm going to move on so that we can get updates from our community organizations. Up first, we have the St. John's Boosters. You can either come up here, or that microphone there will be able to work for you.
All right, everyone. Hi, I'm Rebecca. I'm the president of the St. John's Boosters. Right now, we are also doing a writing letter campaign. Shortly after SJNA had their general meeting, we had our general meeting. Our membership also voted to oppose the BottleDrop location, and we are doing the same thing, contacting senators. We've also reached out to Governor Tina Kotek as well. So hopefully we'll start to see some answers coming from that. But we have some really fun events coming up. The main one is April 27th. We have the Spring Fling. It's happening in the plaza, and essentially kind of the whole shopping district there. All the stores will have discounts, things like that. There will be a really big raffle prize that you can enter to win. We're gonna have the mini horses. We're gonna have Portland Standard Time playing. We have partnered with I'm going to say it the wrong way, Dia de los Niños, Day of the Children. They are also going to be partnering with us in the plaza. I think SJNA is going to have a table there. We'll have some of our at-home businesses tabling in the plaza. So it's just a really big, fun event. Hopefully the weather will be good and everyone will have a fun time there. And then this summer, we are going to bring back the game nights in the plaza. So last summer on Thursday nights, we did hosted game nights with just a bunch of different types of games to kind of activate the district. We have found that keeping folks in the plaza kind of helps keep things mellow in the plaza, and that can help everybody, help our businesses, help everyone feel safe and good. So that's part of our activation for that main district down there. And those are the boosters updates.
Thank you so much, Rebecca. Appreciate it. Up next, we have the St. John's Center for Opportunity in the room or on Zoom. On Zoom would be difficult. Raise your hand if you're on Zoom. If not, we can also move on. I don't see a hand raised. Do you know? All right, so we'll move on for now. Up next, we have Donna Cohen from updating about the emergency route. Donna, take it away.
Okay, just don't touch it, right?
Yeah.
Hi, everybody. So if you want to make sure that you can get out of here or your relatives in here after the earthquake, you want to know that we have emergency routes that work. We have two routes, Columbia and Lombard, that are designated as emergency routes, but they are not functional because they both go over the railroad cut. Those bridges are going to collapse during an earthquake, and the tunnel under Lombard is going to collapse. We got commitments from the city last December in their 2040 freight plan to replace the bridge at Columbia over the cut. We've done an engineering study. We just need to find $57 million to replace it. And we got a commitment for the city to work in collaboration with ODOT and the railroad for the Lombard bridge over the cut and the tunnel. Those are multi-jurisdictional, and so the first step is just getting people to talk to each other. So PBOT is the key, though, for either of those projects. And PBOT is going to be here next month, and I hope as many people as possible will be here, or online, preferably here, to let Zeph Wagner know that we need to move on these things, because it's been since December, we haven't had movement on either getting, applying for a grant for Columbia, or reaching out for some collaborative efforts with the state and with the railroads. So we need to get them moving on that. And I worked on Fessenden, and I can tell you when it comes to PBOT, you need to put pressure on them. They need to be concerned. I think if we don't see anything happening by the middle of the summer, we need to be looking toward a rally of some sort on Lombard in late summer or early fall, because I can tell you that the minute they hear about something like that, all of a sudden there's a response. So I want to tell you, there are some small flyers here. We have a Facebook group, St. John's North Peninsula Emergency Route. If you're not on Facebook, you can give me your email. I'll put you on an email list. And I want to say we gave a survey to all the candidates that were at the candidate forum in March, and sent out 4 more to some folks that have filed to be candidate but weren't there. And we sent out reminders to those who were in attendance at the forum about the survey. And so of all 16 people that got the survey, I can tell you we got 5 responses. The responses are available through the Facebook page, or you can email me. You can read them yourselves. None of the St. John's candidates responded. Not a good sign. So this is the season right now. This election season, we have to make sure that every candidate running for any office that represents this community, city council, metro, county commissioners, and state, know about this situation, because 30,000 people are at risk here of being completely cut off after the earthquake. There's not going to be going down to the shore. The shorelines are going to liquefy. There's not going to be any routes, water routes. There's one direction that we can go in, and that direction is over the cut and then over the railroad tunnel. So we need to get all the candidates know what's going on and commit to helping us, because this is you know, this is a big job to get this done. Any questions? No? Yes? Speak up, please. I'm sorry, I'm hearing trouble.
There's pressure on PBOT to put bumps on, speed bumps on Charleston as another PBOT ask for Zeph and them.
Yeah, okay, that's fine, and as somebody who's worked on traffic safety, all that is good, but right now, my main concern is getting in and out of here after the earthquake, because we don't have a medical facility, right? No ambulance is going to be able to get in here or get somebody out. Families are going to be separated whenever it happens, right? And in the worst case scenario, the CEI hub is going to send toxic smoke over here, and we're going to have to get out of Dodge fast. So if we don't get these emergency routes, and it's going to take a while, so we can't, you know, we have to get them moving so this can get done in, you know, my lifetime at least. Okay, definitely
Thanks,
in
Donna.
yours, but I'd love to have it, before I die, I would like to see these routes
Thank you, Donna.
secured.
Yeah.
Over 100 years old.
Yeah.
Okay, so we know, we have had an engineering study of the bridge over at Columbia. They said, in fact, they said it's so bad that if the bridge was actually just hit with something, like a train or something, it would collapse. It doesn't have to even be an earthquake. So that's how bad we know, we have documented that Columbia, and Lombard is probably just as bad. Yes.
I think with the expense incurred to do the projects, that's federal money as well as state money.
It's going to be from multiple sources, right, but PBOT, and that's why we have to get all our candidates and all our elected officials on board too. But PBOT needs to push them, but we need to get everybody on
Thank
board.
you, Donna. That's all the time that we have for this one. I appreciate it. Yeah, and thanks for your engagement there, everybody. This is certainly a concerning and key issue and a difficult one, even knowing that something like the bridge over Lombard, it's the structure is the railroad, the road is ODOT, the sidewalk is PBOT, so we're dealing with a lot of fun stuff. And I can promise you that SJNA does not have $57 million in the budget. There's no, Bernadine is not cooking the books that well, okay? So we don't have the money to put that new bridge in place. So please pay attention, get in touch, and we'll continue to update here. So there's one other known speaker for the St. John's Bazaar, and who we'll go to now. And then if there's anybody else who wants to bring up any questions, comments, or concerns, we can go to you after that.
So it doesn't hurt my back. Okay. I'm Emil Freeberg. I'm with St. John's Bazaar. Seamus Linsky was probably here at the last meeting, I guess. Thank you. Primarily, we need volunteers, of course, which you can find the volunteer tab on the stjohnsbazaar.com website. And we need volunteers in the first aid station. We need volunteers to serve beer, put up the barricades, things like that. We are all volunteer. So our Supreme Council, actually, we get together usually starting in December, and we start meeting every month, and then we start meeting every 2 weeks. And we've been putting in permit requests and everything for road closures, et cetera, which part of the reason I'm here is to let everybody know that there will be road closures for both the parade and the bazaar, because of course we have to clear traffic in order to have 180 food and craft vendors come into St. John's, have 2 music stages and 2 beer gardens. All of that has to be closed off for the day. So no parking signs will be going out throughout the neighborhood on Friday, May 10th, in order to have all of the vehicles removed from certain streets, and I'll name those off right here. So that would be North Lombard between North Baltimore and John, North John and North Philadelphia between Ivanhoe and Lombard, North Alta between the alleyway and North Lombard, North Levitt between Ivanhoe and Kellogg, Burlington between Lombard and Kellogg, North Kellogg between North Levitt and John. So essentially that whole downtown district will be closed off in order to have, all of the people doing all of the things and have a lot of fun on that day. So if anybody has any questions, please let me know. But please visit the website, stjohnsbazaar.com, and again, click on the tab. This is all volunteer run. It can be a lot of fun to volunteer for 2 hours serving beer in the beer garden and then go about the rest of, check out all of the vendors and the crafts and the foods. So thank you very much.
Thanks for being here. Appreciate it. And I know the parade will want volunteers as well, so just be your generous self on May 11th and help out. Anybody else who, yeah, please.
Hello, everybody. My name is Tony Darko, and I'm here with Brenna Park-Egan, the volunteer coordinator of the St. John's Parade. I'm also the St. John's Parade Committee. I'm also on the St. John's Parade Committee. And like Emil, we're here in search for volunteers. So volunteer for both, if you can, if you got lots of time. Clearly, we know there's going to be lots of street closures. The date is May 11th, and it's going to be at noon, just like every year. This is going to be the 59th annual parade.
So we've got little volunteer sheets with a QR code. You can check out the website and sign up to volunteer. Also, if you know of a bulletin board that could use a volunteer sheet, I've got these as well. Please feel free to take one. And I think that's it.
Maybe I'll just add, announce the Grand Marshal should be announced very soon. So look for that in the St. John's Review, I believe. And sorry for the previous time. And I think May 11th. Did I say that? I don't know. So, May 11th. All right. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Great. Yes, and for those on Zoom, we're going to drop the links to those websites in the chat so you can check those out, sign up to volunteer. And is there anybody else in the room or on Zoom who has a question, comment, concern? We have the Zoom audio set up now? Potentially. Initially, yes. You can go ahead and we can see if we got this now.
All right, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
All right, lovely. Okay, I just wanted to let you guys know that we are also going to have the St. John's Parade Route exclusively in the May edition of the St. John's Review. And we're going to be passing that out directly into your guys' hands all day long, parade day. But of course, it'd be a good idea to snag one at any of our local businesses before the parade or during the parade as well, because then you can go burn some money there, which would be perfect. And I'm hoping to get some bazaar information in there as well. So we'll see about that, but we'll most certainly have the entirety of the parade route for you.
Great. Thank you very much. All right.
My pleasure.
All right. Anything else? Anybody? Last call. Moving on. All right. So now updates from the board. We go to Vice Chair Patrick. Anything from you?
Yeah. Hey, everybody. Thanks for bearing with us. I mean, the big one, I think, was to what RJ was saying that I've been working on is working, obviously, with Kim's kind of approach to the map. We were trying to identify 3 different locations for our meetings where we can try and reach the majority of folks within St. John's within a 1-mile radius walk, essentially. So definitely through the rest of this year, we'll be at George, then James John, then a break for summer. And then throughout next year, we'll try and keep that rotation going so that every 3 months you kind of know, and it's a little bit easier to keep track. So just want to say thank you for bearing with us through moving around, and also thanks for bearing with us with the tech. I think this is working excellently, so knocking on wood, which is great. And then the last thing I wanted to say is for the November election. So there is some grant money that we are exploring as far as voter awareness and education. So that's something I'm spearheading. I've applied for the grant. That process and grant is open, I believe, through the end of this month or slightly thereafter. Mine's already in. So long story short, the hope is that we can get access to some grant money and run at minimum one mock election, potentially some video that we can put together, put on our YouTube, and also maybe run some paid social media as well. But really our approach is going to be educating the voter, and I think trying to reach as many of our the constituents living within the St. John's area as possible. So I'm really passionate about that. I think it's a new system. It's a new thing for us all to get used to. I think I understand it. I will understand it before we do the mock election, and we'll speak to that. So I'm excited about it. Yeah, that's what I got going on. Oh, and the cleanup Saturday. Hopefully see you there. 9 a.m.
Thanks, Patrick. Up next, we've got Bernadine in the treasurer's report, which will prove we don't have $57 million. So Bernadine, come on up. Yeah, I'll present. Yeah, if she'll just take. Well, or wherever. Yeah. Oh, I see.
Okay, there were printed copies of our treasurer's report, and because of last month's meeting and the topic we were dealing with, we did not deal with the treasurer's report in regards to approving it or anything else. So this one is from February 11th through yesterday, April 7th. The general account, we had a beginning balance of $10,158.38. We had no income. We had expenses. For Paul Rippey, this is a reimbursement for the Safer Together for the expenses for the prior quarter from the grant that we had from the city. Then we had MailChimp, $38.25. That's for web services. That's our email provider. Then we had an expense to Umbrella, and they are the ones, it was March 8th, $250, and they are the organization over the St. John's Bazaar, and that was for the sponsorship from us. Then we had a Zoom expense of $56.17, and this was for the night of the last general meeting of us increasing our numbers so that we could have up to 300 on Zoom. And then we have another expense of Zoom, 10 days later came through, and that's when we backed down from 300 to 100. That was $15.99. Then we had MailChimp for April's $38.25 for the web services for the email. Total expenses was $2,834.34. Our ending balance is $7,324.04. Restricted of that is $3,085.60. That is our Metro grant that helps cover the expenses that we got from the city and stuff for Metro in regards to the cleanups and dumpster days and that sort of stuff. Then we haven't still left in restricted funds, we have $299.40 that is left from the Safer Together grant. And then we have restricted funds of $65.65 that is left from our event of Day of the Child, and that is a check that has gone out to George Middle School
For most people, you probably don't remember, but after that event, because we had gotten the grant to do that Day of the Child, any money that was left over had to go for kids and reading, because that was the focus and stuff. So all 4 schools, Roosevelt, George, Jamestown, and Sitten, the libraries, we divided the money that was left 4 times, and they all got this amount. And George Middle School is the one that hasn't processed their check yet. So unrestricted, we have $3,873.39. Any questions? Okay, then I'll go to the next account that we have. We have an art fund. These are restricted funds. There is a beginning balance, February 11th, of $100.04. We had no income, no expenses. Our ending balance as of yesterday is $100.04. Any questions? And our last is BottleDrop. February 11th through April 7th. February 11th, we had $409.10. We had income of various amounts of bags dropped for $49.40. We had no expenses and stuff. So our balance as of yesterday is $458.50. Any questions? And if anybody wants BottleDrop bags for us, I have some over here.
Thank you, Bernadine.
Mm-hmm.
And you may be wondering about mentioning BottleDrop when we are opposed to the BottleDrop Redemption Center, and that is exactly that. We are opposed to the BottleDrop Redemption Center being at that specific location on Lombard. We are not saying that the bottle bill should never exist. We're not opposed to that as a whole. It is opposition to that Redemption Center location. And so, yes, we fundraise through BottleDrop. All right. I think I know whose time it is. Paul Rippey, folks, everybody.
Hi, thank you. 2 things quickly. One is just a little plug for Safer Together. Kim, thank you for everything you did on that. I think that was just the most interesting documented study I've seen in a long time. But also thank you for just bringing out that block parties are a way to increase togetherness. And so last year we had funding for this. We bought a lot of stuff. We still have the stuff, and we have more stuff, in fact, than we had last year. Like we have a movie screen and a movie projector, which somebody could use to show movies at a block party. I know the sun stays up late in the summer. Work out those details. But anyway, so 4 people have signed up now. Thank you, people who signed up, which is ahead of last year. But, we'll see. But if you'd like to do a block party, go to the website. Very easy to sign up. Just leave your name and stuff, and then we'll get in touch with you, and we can see what you'd like to do, and then support you in doing it. So that's one thing. The other thing is that, sorry about that. That Kim, also you mentioned Frog Ferry, and Frog Ferry, Portland is the largest city in the United States that has a river and doesn't use it for transportation. And that is weird, because we're the kind of city you'd think would have a ferry. What is it? Well, there's a whole history with TriMet and the city council and all this stuff. And it feels like, it's just going to go through, it'll go on forever, but it doesn't have to go on forever. The Portland Clean Energy Fund, which, as a lot of you know, has more money than they ever dreamed of having, has a round of a request for proposals coming out, and Frog Ferry intends to submit to that. And they've asked us to write a letter of support, which I would really like to do. Now, the weird thing was the request for proposals came out on April 4th, which was just this week. And the proposal is due on May 17th, which is a fairly short time to write a $20 million proposal. But anyway, and because May 17th, because May 17th is one day after our next general meeting, I would like to ask you all just to let us write a letter of support in the name of the community. I've drafted one. It's too long. And I want to get some feedback from everybody. I think we could put the draft up on the site. And sometime between now and then, we'd just send it in. But it's just the version I have right now. Dear Portland Clean Energy Fund, we understand that Friends of Frog Ferry is submitting a proposal to you for funding through your Clean Energy Community Benefits Fund. We strongly support that proposal. And then I don't know a lot of this has to be wordsmith. It can finally bring river transport to Portland. Well, this should have happened decades ago. It's never too late to do the right thing. And then I give various reasons. I'd like to put this up on the website for comments, and but also wonder if we could just ask the members to say, yes, it's okay for the board to send out a letter of support to the Clean Energy Fund on behalf of Frog Ferry.
So that would be like a motion to approve executive power for the board to write and submit this letter. So yeah, we would need a motion and a second for that to move forward. So is there a motion to grant executive power to the board? Yes, there's a motion there. Is there a second? Juan seconds that. Before we vote, okay, here's what we're gonna do. Raise your hand if you're opposed. If there is opposition, then we will take a tallied vote. But otherwise, raise your hand in the room or on Zoom if you are opposed to the board drafting a letter of support for Frog Ferry and the grant. That's no opposition, Paul.
Thank you.
We've got a unanimous approval. We will draft that, work on that, publish it, share it. Thank you, Paul, for bringing that and for your update. We are at 8:29 and we are almost there. Thank you for bearing with us. We're gonna get you out of here soon, quite soon. Let me just bring the agenda back up here. Who do we have next from the board? Normally up next would be safety and livability. Ryan is unable to make it this evening. What he passed along is that unfortunately there's a lot of sort of just the similar updates to before from previous meetings when it comes to the meetings that he attends. He attends various meetings with city officials, with police officials, and if you haven't attended a meeting with us before, this will be unfamiliar. If you've attended a meeting with us before, this is the same old song and dance. There's really no new news on the task site, on the temporary alternative shelter site. The police continue to inform us they do not have enough officers and that North Precinct is too far away to adequately service St. John's. So it's a lot of the same updates as we have heard in the past there on that front. And if you would like to get involved and help Ryan join these meetings, be part of these discussions, please get in touch. The one other thing I had, and this fits in with the survey data, Kim, recently there was an email chain resurfaced with PBOT that we were on that was about work done on Lombard past St. Louis on the way towards the port and everything there, where it does that sharp sort of bend, the S curve there. It's Lombard and St. John's Ave. There was a project there to enhance the safety of that, and it turns out it was never actually fully completed. All the promises that were brought forth by PBOT, a couple of them were not finished, like speed reader boards. There are temporary ones there now due to the fact of the advocacy of the people who followed up in this chain. And now PBOT is basically saying they're going to look into what wasn't done and see if they should do it now, even though it was already promised before, but seemingly it's not promised now, and they'll see if it makes sense. So if you are, if you live in this part of the neighborhood, if you're curious about this intersection or being involved in this advocacy, please reach out. It's info@stjohnspdx.org. I can loop you into the conversation and lend some more weight to these discussions to show PBOT that, maybe they should just actually complete the job they promised when they originally made this commitment. And I think it was like 2017, 2018. This is very overdue. So yeah, please get in touch on that front for that Lombard and St. John's intersection if you want to be more involved. So next up, we have land use. I did see Brennan join on Zoom. I see there. Hey, Brennan.
Hey, RJ. Yep. Don't have any updates on my end.
Great. Thank you. Patrick?
I have one land use thing.
Yeah.
Okay. This was a part of my vice chair update as well that I forgot. Just reminded when RJ was talking. The letter we wrote, for those that remember, at the crossing at Lombard and Burr. Yes, thank you. By the beer porch and Point S. As part of North Portland in Motion, PBOT was running into some challenges with ODOT's jurisdiction as far as striping and adding additional safety measures for the crosswalk. Anyway, long story short, sent the letter. It's happening. So we're stoked. Yeah, we brought them together somehow, folks. Yeah, let's hear about that. Yeah, so
we'll all go for beer.
Yeah, we're gonna go to Beer Porch once that's all painted and or looking nice. But yeah, no, great. That's community action right there, and it works. So thank you for your support on that.
All right, Juan, do you have any updates you'd like to share?
Yeah, just a little bit.
Swap.
Well, I was gonna say exactly what Paul said, so I'm glad he did it first, because I was thinking about how was I gonna ask for a vote. But I'm just gonna give out some additional context. The grant that Frog Ferry is trying to get is for a boat, I believe, or 2 boats, and that's one of the things that TriMet said that we should talk to them once we have that, kind of like a way of like getting rid of us. But now, if we actually do have it, it's gonna be a game changer. So thank you for supporting that. And I don't know. I mean, reach out to me if you think I should do anything else than outreach. And I think my email on the website is I don't have access to that email, but you could email any of the other person. I'll
just email info@.
Email info@, and I'll work on getting it corrected on the website.
Thanks, Juan. Kim, any further updates or updated out from the survey response? Great. The slides are in the Zoom chat. We sent those out via email as well in our newsletter and our reminders for this meeting. So if you don't see the link anywhere, don't have access to that, do let us know. Jesse, any updates from you? No updates. Great. Thanks for all of this work, setting this up. And again, for the last meeting, talk about having a meeting for 500 people. Jesse, Patrick, everybody played a role in that. So thank you all for your efforts towards that. It's a lot of effort. And then we have Duncan. I saw Duncan on there. Do you have any updates?
Yep, I'm here, man.
Hello.
Yeah, so my one quick update is you all heard Bernadine and RJ mention that we really don't have any recurring sources of revenue. So one thing we're going to do this year at our booth, the St. John's Bazaar, is have a little fundraiser for St. John's Neighborhood Association, selling a little bit of merchandise. And there will be more details about it coming soon. But I just wanted to make everyone aware that is happening, right? So if you're wondering, hey, how do I support the neighborhood association? You can accept a donation, get a little or you can give us a donation, excuse me, and then accept a piece of merchandise from us in return. And then we can use that to fund other events within the community, right? So that's it. That's all I got. If you have any questions, feel free to email me, reach out to RJ as well.
Yep. Yeah. Always can just send an email to the info@inbox so we can get it to the right person. I will play like the old phone operator, just connect it into the right jack. So thank you, Duncan. No pressure, but the swag better look good. So, watch out. Great. So with no further board updates and it being past 8:30, we're over our allotted time.
Wait,
Oh, hello. What? Okay,
sorry.
30 seconds.
Yes, just at first, further information on Safer Together, you can find it in the next issue of the St. John's Review. We have a beautiful article about it coming up for you. It's a wonderful way to make new friends in the community.
Great. Thank you, Nisha.
And there's a bouncy house.
Bouncy house. Yeah, that is true. We have one. Tom, if you can do it in a few seconds here, we've got to
May
get,
4th.
we're over time.
May 4th is our cleanup at the dumpster day at the Friends of the Eagles on Lombard in roughly Portsmouth. And you're all welcome to come and bring big items from the house.
Thanks, Tom. So that was May 4th on Lombard. And where was the location?
The Eagles.
The Eagles, thank you. So we've got the St. John Spring Clean this Saturday, and if you missed that, we've got another opportunity in May just over the cut, unless the earthquake happens, because then you're not bringing your trash there, folks. So, yes. May 4th is the first day of the St. John's Farmers Market. Thank you, Lena, and I bet that would have been in the SJCO update, yeah. We'll make sure that they get here next time. All right, folks, and with that, I'll close the meeting at 8:39 p.m. Thanks again for coming. Thanks for being here at Sitten. Thanks for being here on Zoom. We appreciate y'all taking the time. Have a great one. We'll see you next month.